Hello and welcome to the Adobe collaboration with Badass Girl and the Adobe Creativity Collabs series. My name is Malin and I'm really excited to have you here today. I am joined by some magical guests, but we're going to get to you guys soon. But for those of you who don't know what Badass Girl is, I just really want to highlight, and I think we're going to start with a shout out to Danny and Charlotte as well. A little bit like a silent applaud here from the room. Badass Girl is a community born out of the Young Creative Council, which is all around celebrating young female talent in the creative industry. Now, what we are doing here today is to talk about how you guys got to where you are, but also to just really drop down the ladder and make sure that we're celebrating and also sharing all the insights and the kind of knowledge that we have from the creative industry on the inside. The Young Creative Council, they're obviously super passionate about helping bridging the gap between an industry and education, and so are we. So I am from Adobe, which I maybe should have led with, but so equally as passionate as Young Creative Council and equally as excited as them are we here from Adobe as well. Before I kick off, I just want to say that I work for Adobe and I'm a senior product marketing manager and enterprise special projects manager. That essentially is probably the most long title ever in the corporation, but it means that I get to host and kind of do workshops and staff training, and I host the ambassador program and just run a lot of fun things for the creative industry within the biggest brands around. So that's really fun, but I also get to do things like this, and this is my passion, to sit down and just really go into the minds and the insights of creative professionals and share that out with the world as well. So I'm really excited to be able to team up with Leah and Alex from our consumer marketing team on this little series as well. And for you guys who are return viewers, we did do another live stream. So if you haven't looked at that yet, please do that afterwards. We are super excited to just keep on doing these, and hopefully we'll be back with another one in the new year. I do have a few rules. So for everyone who's tuning in, and I can see it's like currently 25 of them, very welcome all of you. We would love to know where you guys are tuning in from, who you are and what you do and all that stuff. So please drop some questions, because that is rule number one. If you are looking at this live stream, I would love to get your thoughts on what we're talking about, as well as if you got any questions. Please just let us know. We are here for a whole hour, so please just take the opportunity to ask my lovely guests, who I'm introducing in a minute, anything that you might want to know about. And then also, if you are an Adobe user or anything like that, please ask us any questions in relation to Adobe, but do keep it, I suppose, 99% focused on these ladies. However, so guest introductions. As I said, I'm really excited to have you all here. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to start with Jennifer.
Hi.
We go actually way back. We used to be neighbors, actually, which is really fun. So thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Do you want to give us a little insight? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So I'm Jennifer, or Jenny, or Jen, or whatever name you want to call me. I'm generally happy with just general Jen. Sorry.
I like.
So I'm a senior designer over at Social Life, and I actually started my journey in Glasgow, then took a trip to Japan, spent about 10 years there as a designer, and then back in London, and currently I'm a senior designer at Social Life, and I work on entertainment brands like Netflix, doing creative and design and campaigns, and generally just loving life.
Amazing.
Love life.
So glad to have you here. And then we got Eugenia over here. Welcome
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you. So, my name is Eugenia. So I'm originally from Argentina. I came to London 5 years ago. And before that, I was living for around another 5 years in Spain, in Madrid. I'm a graphic designer, motion designer, branding designer, art director, and I'm currently working as leading the design team in NENT, which is a creative studio based in London. It's a media and entertainment company where I work for also streaming services and TV brands, and also other more fun stuff like eSports and so on. And besides that, I'm also an associate lecturer at the UAL, where I am part of the team for the Master and Branding identity, and that's kind of my background and where I come from.
Amazing. A creative legend, basically.
Well,
I love it. And last but not least, Elle, welcome.
Thank you.
Who are you? Tell us all about you.
So I'm Elle. I graduated about a year and a half ago. So I freelance and I'm also a junior designer at & Walsh. So I'm still relatively new, but yeah, having fun.
Amazing. And this is also what's so exciting for me. I've got people here in the room from all trades and all backgrounds and also all levels of the creative industry. You guys have worked on some amazing projects. We're going to talk them through later because I gave them a little homework, which is really exciting. So we're going to be looking at some of the early works of these legends, but then also actually some of the inspirational sort of backgrounds, etc. But I think what we're going to start with is to talk about creative careers. It's one of my favorite topics in the world of creativity because I do believe it's sometimes very hard, unless you are dead set from the beginning as a little kiddo, that you are going to become a designer, to actually know how to get in, right? Yeah. So I will start with you, Jennifer.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How did you end up doing what you're doing now? Like, what is the backstory here?
Oh, it's a complicated one, but also a fun one. So when I was at uni, I decided to study computer arts, which is like a multidisciplinary video editing, design, illustration, 3D modeling, everything, just everything on a plate. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was very lucky that I got to go to Japan for a year because I was very interested in Japanese culture, language. And I thought, okay, cool, love Japan, gonna go there for a year. Loved it so much and ended actually moving to Japan for about 10 years. And whilst I was there, I was interested in lots of design and illustration, and I didn't really know what the name of anything was. I didn't really know what the roles were. Whilst I was there as an English teacher, and I'd graduated, I did some animation, I did some design, I did some branding. I didn't really have any mentors or anything, so I was an English teacher. And then I started doing a lot more illustration and I got into art fairs. So
How? Were you selling your work there, or did you just visit them, or what do you mean?
I was just a bit lonely when I was in Japan, and I met some people who were into art, and they were like, oh, we're going to do some fairs. Do you want to put some work in? And I was like, oh, I do this as my passion. I'm going to put some work in. And then from there, I actually got accepted to Takashi Murakami's. I was in his art exhibition in Tokyo. I was in 2 of them and I met him and I was like, oh my God, there's this amazing world out there. And I liked how he did like design. He was working with Louis Vuitton and all these other things. I was like, I really want to do this. And I just got fed up of my day-to-day. I wasn't using my passion. And I thought, I'm going to be a designer. That's it. I'm going to be a designer. And I found this amazing agency. And I don't know to this day how I got a job there, but I just perceived and I just kept applying to jobs. And I joined this agency called Choreo and I started as a junior designer. And it was all in Japanese, nothing was in English. I didn't know anything. I had to learn really, like from the bottom to the top, it was do everything, like cups of teas, coffees, everything, just to work up and like learn from these like legends in this agency. I also had to do it in Japanese.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Photoshop in Japanese is really bad. Don't ever, like, unless you know Japanese, it's just, filter names, crazy. So I started there and I learned so much because we worked really long hours and we were given quite a lot of creative freedom. I worked there for like 4 or 5 years and decided, I saw all these things like these YouTube channel content. I thought, oh my word, like London has a great social everything going on. There's like all these talks. I really want to be there. So I moved back to London about 4 or 5 years ago. I got a job in-house at Yo Sushi as a graphic designer, and then got a taste of everything, absolutely everything, from branding to social campaigns to POS, restaurant design, uniform design. I got a taste of that, got hooked, and then just continued through that to get another role. I left there and went to U Studio, which was a Unilever creative agency. And I went there and did more art direction and design, and I just loved it. And everywhere that I went, I would just learn more and more about industry and what I liked, and then ended up at Social Life working on TV brands and never looked back. But it took me a while to get there. But like, it's been a long journey, but every step of the way, there's been so many helpful people and just kind of learning. And like I've just kind of fallen into
warms
things.
my heart so much, and it is a really, you know, welcoming industry, especially here. Like you say, it's a little bit different, or a lot different to Japan, I suppose,
definitely.
in that sense. But I'm so glad that you've also, you know, gone through that and kind of found your way of how to really get inspired again by everyone around you.
Yeah, everybody's so supportive here, and it was just once I'd learned that actually being open and seeing, like, talking to people and figuring out what they do, I could apply it to what I do and then get a wee bit more of a path through life. And I just got the bug. I was like, wow, illustration, I do illustration as well. There's so many things you can do in this career, and I just got the bug, and I love it so much, and I'm just so passionate about what I do. I'm just kind of driving it forward.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What a journey as well. We're so going to drill into that soon, but I want to hear your story, Elle, as well. Like, how did you end up doing what you're doing now?
So I was really, really lucky that I had like this graphic design teacher, and like we were able to study it in school. So, and then kind of, I remember like my first like year 1, 2, so that's like year 7, 8.
Yeah.
So then I remember just being in those lessons, and I just knew that I wanted to be a graphic designer. So then I ended up just like staying there at like lunches after school. I was just like obsessed.
Yeah.
And then I'd like show all my parents what I've done, and they were like, great.
We've all been there, hey?
Yeah. They're like, that's amazing. Yeah. And then I went to the University of Leeds to study graphic design. So mine was probably a more straightforward path. It wasn't like I was like wiggling all over the place. But then I remember being at uni, and then I think you don't realise how big graphic design is as an umbrella until you get there, and then you're like, oh wait, there's animation, there's illustration, there's like more like packaging specific. You can really be very specialised in packaging, like craft beer, for example. And I remember all of these like different jobs, and we had all these amazing speakers, and then there was like a book designer that came in once, and I was like, oh, actually I want to be a book designer. And then the next week it'd be like, oh, I want to be an animator. And then I was just like, it was mental. And then I think because I've wanted to do everything, and I've always wanted to do everything, I found it really hard to be like, okay, I'll commit to being this or this.
Yeah.
So then I did an internship at Disney for a whole year, which was really good, because then that allowed me to kind of understand how graphic design works more commercially than just doing your own projects. But then it kind of helped me realise that I actually didn't want to work from like on like not agency side, like the client side.
Sure.
Just because I really enjoy, like one day you'll be working on like one kind of project, and the next day you'll be on something totally different.
Yeah.
So I knew that I kind of wanted to head in that direction, and then I graduated and did loads and loads of internships, just like begged people to let me in, and then worked on my portfolio for a little bit, and then ended up working at And Walsh and freelancing on the side, which just happened. Once you freelance, you just end up just getting a couple more clients, and then so I fit that around any time I have, really. So.
Oh my God, and we are so going to talk about And Walsh later. I'm a big fan. And Eugenia.
Yes.
You have an international background. Like, this is so incredible.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it. Like, how did you end up doing what you're doing now?
So I started. I studied industrial design, actually. So my first 2 years were industrial design. At that point, funny enough, I actually wanted to study architecture.
Oh.
But whatever, at the end, I just chose industrial design. And then there I had the option to choose if I could continue on product design, or I could go into graphic design. It was actually a surprise, because I didn't know how much I like it until you know what I mean? Like from the outside, I was like, I'm not sure. It's not really what I wanted to. I wanted something more like tangible, that I can like touch, kind of. More real. For me, it was less real, graphic design. And so my education, and almost in all Latin America, is quite traditional in the sense that it's old school. So it's a lot of years, 5 years minimum, with a year plus for your final project. So basically 6 years. Wow. And then it's little of technology and software and so on. Yeah. A lot of theory, a lot of many things, Wow. And it was actually hard. It was really hard, Then when I went up, the funny thing is that I was like almost, you know, everyone that I was trying to see what else I could do, what else I could like, you know, what is this, what I'm studying and what I want to do, it has possibilities or not, or, and I went to a lecture where I saw like a studio showing like, you know, animated things and that they did for some brands.
Yeah.
I think it was Fox or someone like that. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be doing that. That's so, that's perfect. That would be perfect. That's, you know, it's something more exciting. It was adding for me, it was adding like the time.
Yeah.
You know, like the factor of the time. So you have 2D, you know, 3D, whatever, 3D, but then time, in time. Like, what is graphic design in time? And that's how I decided to go to study, to do a master degree in motion graphics in Spain, and that's why I moved. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but it seemed like, you know, different, and I was like, why not? I mean, at that time in my city in Argentina, there weren't many people doing this, to be honest. Only a few people doing that. I did my final project on that because I wanted to find out more, but I was, it was more like, you know, I was experimenting and discovering by my own. And when I went to Spain, actually, it was so much more bold what I could, you know, learn and so on. So it was a big journey from there until here. The main reason was because for me it was a perfect combination between branding and motion, you know, design and motion, this idea of like, I don't know, engaging people in a different way. That was what I don't know, gave me curiosity to keep going and and learning more.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What a journey, both like actually around the world, and same for you, but also mentally, I'm sure. Like and also, I think this is the beautiful thing about the creative industry.
Yeah.
We are so driven by the inspiration by others and what people are, you know, doing in terms of at the front of the industry and the different practices. So I can totally relate to what you both were saying. Like someone else came in and showed a piece of work, and you go, oh my God, that's mental. And then, oh, I want to do that. Or, oh, this is exciting. But I want to actually drill into a little bit what you said earlier about the joy of being challenged on working on different briefs, etc. So you are now with And Wash, and what do you do? Like, what is a day for you, and what is your role?
Day to day is so different. I think that's why I love it so much, because And Wash have some amazing clients as well that they're just like, go mental, or like do this or do that. So day to day, so sometimes I'll be working on like more concepts. Some days it'll be more like fleshing it out or then like finalizing it. All sorts of different crazy projects, but then that's really helped figure out what I want to do, and it's helped my freelance because all the designers there are so talented. And I got there and was like, I'm not very good, you know, and you're just like, these people are amazing, like they're really pushing. So it's been really good for me to be pushed constantly. Everyone, like, there'll be a brief and someone will answer it in like a totally different way, and then you'll be like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like it's just like constantly on the go as well, so really fast paced. But no, every day is really, really good. I can't believe I get paid to do it.
Oh, that's incredible. So in terms of the team, so you are based here, right? But you are also you're working remotely most of the time?
Yeah. So
how does that work?
It works all right sometimes. So I work remotely. So I work from home most of the time, which I didn't really think I would be doing. I thought I'd go to an agency and then I'd go there 9 to 5 kind of thing. But my days aren't like that at all. Because it's so remote as well, a lot of my clients are international. So I don't actually have many like British clients. Everything's kind of like New York or like whatever. So remote I didn't realise was an option for me when I was at uni. I think it seems to be happening more and more now. But when I was at uni in first year, no one ever said, oh yeah, you could easily be working from home on the internet, speaking to someone like in Argentina, or do you know what I mean? Like I had no idea.
Or
that
in Japan.
100%. And that's been really great for collaboration and meeting people with different outlooks and different voices and that kind of thing. So.
And what about you, Eugenia? What does your role entail? What do you do?
Okay.
You manage a lot of people.
Many things.
I know that.
Many things. So I so I manage the design team, and we work mainly for our streaming service platform. So the company I work with is a Scandinavian company. So we have one of the leading platforms there for streaming services. So we compete directly with Netflix and HBO Nordics.
Yeah.
So most of the job is dealing with the brand. Right now, I mean, I'm actually finishing now what it's going to be the brand guidelines for it. But besides that, because the company is so big, we have many different brands. So when it's not one brand, it's the other one. Is from rebrands to refresh to the new brand that launched, and then come up with the concept, put together a team, put together a project, a timeline, for the project, dealing with the clients, because we are in London, but actually all our clients are in Scandinavia, so Denmark, Sweden, or Norway, or Finland. So it's been like quite interesting. Yeah. And for the past 5 years, I've been here working with them in London. So I actually do almost everything, like from supervising to coming up with concepts to finalizing sometimes, like work, artwork or whatever, or to being in meetings a lot of times. That's a lot of time.
A lot of meetings.
A lot of meetings, and not so good that part. But
what is it like to be a creative in such a big organization? Do you feel like the creative department or the team is very established and you have a voice at the table?
Yes, I do. And I actually, funny enough, I think that's such a huge difference. So for when I was working in Spain, I know some people in Spain are watching me, that I know, but it is true, unfortunately. I think this also comes because the company is like Scandinavian, so the hierarchy is quite flat. So I always felt like I did have a voice. And now, I am the voice of the team that works for me. But even when I was like a middleweight designer, I did have a voice, and it was a bit the difference with other companies where the structure is so hierarchy based, like a pyramid, where you can't say anything until you actually ask for something, and so on and so on and so on. And that kind of structures, I think that for creativity, they are actually really, oppressing. They oppress creativity so much. So it's so important, to have a flexible structure. And I know it's difficult, though. Not so many companies have it. We think they do in the creative industry. Everyone wants to be, we are like open-minded and this and that. The reality is that when you work there, you realize that, actually, this is from the outside. So it's nice to see that in many small companies.
And it's very comforting to hear as well, because it can easily get lost. And like you say, it's a big corporation, a lot of rules and regulations and all that stuff. But that's also why it's so important with creativity and not being afraid of, kind of going on the bandwagon of how important it is. And what about you? So you obviously, I don't think your team is as big, hey?
No.
But you work with some big clients. What do you do and how does that work?
Okay. So I started my role in social life in about March this year. We work with very large names in entertainment. And the day-to-day for me is, because we work on the social platforms for Netflix and all these other clients, we kind of have to listen to what's going on in culture and what's going on in the shows, what's coming out, what people are reacting to, what do they love, how do we speak to these fans? And we have to come up with content every day for our clients, and then we work together with them and be like, right, we've got this idea to do this, and then we have to make it happen. And it's so reactive, and I work with an amazing team of producers, creatives, project managers, just a huge bunch of, it's actually really, like, we've got a lovely team with 30, 40 people. I don't know how many people we've got. We've just got so many lovely, creative, interesting people that are all from different backgrounds, different perspectives. We're so colourful. We're like a rainbow in every shape and way. And it's just so great to be able to come into work and be like, right, this show's come out. Did you watch it? And everybody's a fan as well. Nice. So that we love what we do. And it's like we already watched the things that are coming out on Netflix. Or it's just such a great environment, and you'll come in the morning not knowing what you're going to be doing that day, but already know that this has been great on social, this has happened, like something has happened in the world, and you're like, oh my God, let's make some content around that. And then we have to like dissect it all, put it together, make some edits, and then we'll have a long-term projects, which are like premieres of things coming out. And it's such a hard working and like changes every day. It's like an animal that just, you don't know what animal it'll be tomorrow. And it's like, right, how are we going to handle this? And then we're so fluid that it's just like, okay, we need to do this right now. Cool, let's do it. And we've got all the people in the room that can do that. So just working on social content is just such a diverse and interesting way of working. Whereas I've come from a background where it was like briefed, project, goes on for weeks. This is like, it's instantly out there and people are reacting, and we can engage with the fans and see what they like about it. Like things like my favorite show is Stranger Things, and putting things out for Stranger Things, I'm like, oh, I never in a million years would imagine that I'd get to work on anything to do with that. And it's just so much fun.
Oh, that's amazing. It sounds like also you are essentially paid to binge on Netflix, scroll through Twitter.
That's a good job.
And then make fun things and like engaging things based on that. That's really cool.
And things that like just people like to talk about. It's really great to be able to engage with an audience about like emotional moments and shows, and about things that like social problems as well. Like Orange is the New Black is amazing, and it talks so much about so many different walks of life. And you're like, these shows change lives, and being able to work on these things is like, mind blown. Like completely mind blown.
That's great. Incredible. And I'm also really so excited to hear that you all are so in love with your jobs. And that's really exciting, you know, not just, I say exciting all the time, I can hear myself saying it, but it just is based on passion, right? It's based on being able to have that freedom to express yourselves and working on and with brands when it comes to the creative freedoms. It's really exciting. So what is the one skill, I suppose we should drill down to now? What is the one skill that you wish you had really like kind of picked up earlier on in your career? Should we start with you? Like, what have you learned almost like the hard way, or what is the one thing that you wish you had kind of figured out?
So I think it was something that I was passionate about when I was younger. I'm always passionate about learning. I think learning is always key, but presentation skills and being able to talk through a concept and actually talk to a client, talk to your team, talking to people is so important. And it's like, if you cannot explain what your concept or your vision or your idea was, or your mood boards, or if you can't understand the brief, if you can't talk about it, if you can't dissect it and you're not confident in that, you should really work on that, because the minute that you internally can have that conversation with your teammate or a junior or a senior or a creative director or the client or a project manager or anything, the minute you can actually get your idea across, the easier your job becomes. Because it's like, I only have to tell you in a paragraph what I mean by this. Whereas when I was younger, it was very much like, oh, I have this thing, I'm going to make this thing with and the thing, it'll look like a thing with the thing and the thing, and you're like, oh, actually, I just needed that one paragraph. And that's the thing that I really wish that when I was younger, I could have sold in, because rambling on for hours doesn't help. It's just like, they want to know this, so just give them that. And that's what I would have definitely done earlier.
And it's so crucial. It really is, like communication skills and presentation skills in particular. And we were actually discussing this earlier as well, like how in university and in design practices, you're not really taught the commercial or the business behind design, right? What would you say is the one skill that you have now had to refine in your first couple of years in industry?
I think there's two things. The first thing is definitely confidence. I think especially when you're a new designer, or like even like I've noticed typically more women than men, like it's quite when you're trying to sell yourself, you're like, I do this thing but I don't want to say that I'm good, but whatever. So I think confidence has been a massive steep learning curve, especially when you're freelance and you're trying to apply for jobs. You need to hype yourself up, but it feels weird. So I've had to learn that. And the second thing is creativity. I think sometimes if you have an idea, you're like, well, that's a good idea, but I'm not going to use that now, like, or I'll keep it there, or like practicing being creative and like using that muscle, and then trying all these different ways of looking at a certain brief, and then you open up the brief and then you think, okay, well, here's my concept 1, 2, 3, and then like drill down more into it, like expanding it rather than just being like, well, here's my answer. Keep pushing it and practicing pushing it has been great for me this year. So yeah, I've definitely had to like work on that this year.
Yeah. And you, Eugenia?
I would say, well, you know, continue with what you were saying about, you know, the business and how when we all studied design, it's just you don't see that part. And for me, I think it has been like to have the big picture of everything. So basically, how the business work.
Yeah.
You know, how you make this possible. And it's funny because. So that was definitely my learning curve.
Yeah.
Something I've been learning as I go older, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's funny because even when like one of my students at uni was saying like, you know, oh no, but you know, I'm designing for a charity, so I you know, I don't have a business purpose, and I'm like, well. That's not true.
Yeah.
You know, but it's this combination of like, that's not true. You need to be able, which one are your resources? Even if you don't charge, even if it's not commercial, you know, you need to have the big picture in the sense of like, how you're going to make it real.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to print some posters, then you need that paper, then you need to pay for the paper unless you made it yourself. But anyway, you know, you need to the whole process, and then you want people to actually have that, and then okay, you're not going to sell it, but you need to think on
distribution
and so on. And it's like, you know, and I was like that as well, and actually because of my education where it was a bit more old school, it was even like I grew up with a social design background, you know, like where working for brands like McDonald's would have been like seen like, oh my God, you're working for McDonald's, you know. So I think it's really important that we are being realistic and to try to have this big picture, and that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that you're going to be
less creative
or less correct with like society or less. No. You know, because there are a lot of connotations, I think, related to that.
So fascinating, but it is so true as well. We have 2 questions from the audience.
Oh, nice.
So the first one is for you, Jen. With so much, and this is from Sophie, who I love. Hi, Sophie, shout out to you.
Hi.
With so much reactive content, or social content even, how do you go for a creative design process within a time frame that is a lot tighter than a long project with a brief, as it's so reactive and snappy and fun and fast?
Okay, so in this respect, I feel like I have a bit of an advantage because I'm such a fan of the things that I work on that it comes very naturally to me to be like, I already kind of understand how that works. So if a brief comes in, it's like, oh, you need to make this piece of content based on this show, based on this. And I'll be like, right, okay, I've got a kind of format that I like to use, but I'm going to make it more personal to this show because I've watched the show already. And I think that being on the front foot already before these briefs come in really do help. So understanding that there's a new show out next week, I should have watched that show. I should kind of get the style of that already, kind of already have that ingrained. And then when these briefs come in or when you need to react to it, already know, okay, cool, that's the colour palette, that's the sort of font that they use, this is the vibe for it, and already have that mental preparedness at all times. It can be quite stressful because it can come in from any direction. But if you are already watching the shows or involved or in that zone or on the internet, you need to be an internet person to really get social media. If you're in that world already, you already have what you need to kind of drive it forward. And then some of the briefs that I get, I have to do like within an hour or 2 hours because it's very reactive. And time is of the essence. And having more traditional skills and like knowing that you can use Photoshop very fast and knowing that you can set up things and you can do video editing quite quickly, and then the tools are here for it now as well, especially with Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects and everything, and already have those skills in those areas so that any brief that comes in you can just go, right, know how to do that, got it, got my assets, already got it pre-planned, can do this. Really helps. So there is a bit of preparation before the brief comes in. Even though you won't have a clue what's going to come your way because I don't know what's going to be in the news tomorrow. But
of course.
I know that when it comes in, I'll be like, right, cool, because I live on this.
You have like the toolkit to be ready to fire in any direction.
Basically, like, pew, pew, pew. Okay.
You've got to really have your finger on the pulse. Like,
you really do. You really do. But I feel like you have to do that with design as well because it's like it can all shift. But just having that kind of mentality of, right, I love what I do. If you love what you do, like, you get it, and it's just like, okay, got this, can do it. And then also working on these sort of projects, so my previous roles as well, having such a tight turnaround on quite a lot of projects, even like if it was print, and you know, it's like things change. You don't really get the scripts for things. You don't really get what the assets you needed until the last minute. Working those sort of projects prepared me for this role. Because I already knew that I'm not going to get that brief in time.
No.
There's going to be a massive push. That logo is going to be a photograph of a logo. It's not going to be a logo. I already know these things. Working on those kind of projects kind of prepared me for my role in social media, because now I've got my finger in the pulse. I kind of know I can preempt what might happen.
And you probably get the bigger picture as to what you were saying earlier as well. You know, because you have worked in-house in a brand, so you know that there's a clear set of, here's A, here's a Z, let's play within that. And the second question that we have, and thank you, sorry. We're just going to go to the second question from Jasmine. Donlan, hello Jasmine, so good to have you here, which is for you, Eugenia. So what would you say your favorite way of coming up with a new creative concept is? What do you do? Like when you are building on a new brief, like how do you go through that process?
Okay, when I'm building a new brief, but I'm the one receiving the brief, right?
Yeah, you're the creator.
I'm the creative. Okay, cool. Well, I would say that the first thing is just research. I go mad. I mean, maybe too much, to be honest. Sometimes I actually realize that it's not good. But yeah, it's like you were saying, you know, it's like this full immersion on things. And also we also know that most of the briefs we receive, they're not really so good crafted sometimes. So well crafted. So you actually need to be the one, like, you know, being like hands-on and finding out and doing a proper research of the brand, what they are trying to communicate, what's your like audience, the context, everything, you know, and everything around that. So that's the real first thing, just to understand, to be the one, you know, to be on the shoes of the brand, if the brand has any shoes. And to interview people if necessary, you know, that work for the brand. That also happened to me, actually. At the point that they didn't have anything, and I'm like, no, I don't know, we don't know, no one knows, you know, this, I don't know, come up with something. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. You know, you need to just go and interview them, you know, and talk to everyone you can in the actually, if you can. That's probably the best most of the times.
And from the inside and out as well, right? From the owner through to the consumer and everyone in between.
Yes, because that's when you're going to get the right view, because also you need to understand that you are not working for yourself. You're working for someone else to communicate to someone else. So you are like this kind of bridge, you know. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, when I worked in-house, it was for restaurants and it was for Yo Sushi. And when I was there, the first week that we ever did as a new team member in Yo Sushi, no matter who you were, finance, design, anybody, you worked a week in a restaurant.
That's really good.
Yeah, I had to work. I didn't work a week because they only had one designer, so they couldn't really give it for a week. But I worked there a few days.
We need you here.
I did a couple of shifts.
You were working in the restaurant design.
At the end of it, my boss was like, I really need you to help me with this. I was like, okay, my laptop's in my bag, I'll just get it out. But I had to roll sushi. I had to learn how to do that, just like anybody else did.
Wow.
But
the immersion is so important.
Yeah, the immersion is
immersion.
just, if you're immersed, you can get it easier than if you were like looking at something going,
And what about you, Elle? Is that different for you? Because I know that you said you have no, you know, customers here, or no clients in the UK. So how do you guys work when it comes to coming up with concepts and, you know, kicking off a new project?
So it kind of varies. When I'm freelancing, it's me and then the client. So I have to then wear a couple more hats to figure out what they want. Sometimes, like, I'll get the brief and then we'll work through it, or I'll have to figure out like distribution or anything else. Like that whole process I'll have to manage. Whereas if I'm at And Walsh, a lot of the producers really drill down the brief for us, and they've done the research, and there are so many people that have kind of already got over some of the obstacles first, and then you'll get the brief and then you'll think, okay, well, I still kind of want to explore this very specific thing. So then you'll still do your research and stuff, but whereas when it's freelance, it expands massively because I'm trying to be like 8 different people. So yeah.
Wow, that's incredible though, and I think it's so good for you to be able to do that. Wearing all the different hats in the beginning of a career as well is going to teach you so much. That's incredible. So we are going to move on to the show me section. So there's going to be a couple of pieces now because I made these ladies bring me some work and some files. So I do hope that we are now seeing, yes, oh, look at that. We have 5 different questions. So we're going to go through person by person and work by work. And the first question that I wanted you all to kind of address with the visual image is, was there a special project, campaign, or a piece of artwork or design that inspired you to become a creative? So we've already spoken about your journeys into the industry, but what was the piece of work? So this first one is yours, Elle.
Yeah, it is. So
what's going on here and why?
This is Roy Lichtenstein, and I think I was quite young when I decided I was really interested in design and art and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I became really obsessed with pop art, so Roy Lichtenstein, Andy Warhol and stuff, and then also kind of street art and graffiti and all the kind of protest graphics, and someone's done it instantly. It's not been this giant long process.
No.
And those kind of things have been really interesting to me. But then I was 14 when I first saw Lichtenstein, and then my mum got me a book about it, and then I just started obsessing about it. And I've always wanted to have a print in my house, so I've not got there yet, but no, it's all those kind of colours and the movement and the dynamicness of it all, I'm obsessed with it. So this is when I realised okay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, this is my jam.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you are going to have to help me click. You're going to be my lovely clicker for the day. Next piece is Jen's, hey?
Hi. So when I was growing up, I was so obsessed with computer games. My life was a computer game. I so need to apologise to my parents. I don't think I saw them very much when I was growing up. I was just on computer games the whole time. And it was that time where it went from 2D to 3D. I was like, wow, what is this world? So there was this game I was literally obsessed with. I missed 3 weeks of school to complete this game.
What?
Yeah, I did. Oh no, my mum's watching this. Hi, Mum. So I was obsessed with Final Fantasy, and at that time, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1 had just come out. Well, PlayStation 1 came out, then 2, and the graphics had moved on so much that I remember looking at these beautiful screens and being how did they do that? What is this animation? I've never seen something like this before.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it so bad. I was oh, there's all these graphics and there's characters and there's all this storytelling, and I just loved it so much that I just had to do something with it, and that's why I joined computer arts at Dundee, which I had no idea what I was doing. I was I don't know what I want to do, but I want to make something graphics, and it was like that.
And it was started with this.
I started with that.
That's incredible. And the next one's what inspired you to start and join the industry here?
Yeah. So this is actually what I think I mentioned it before briefly. So this is the studio I saw on a lecture at my university. They were, this is actually not so old, but they were kind of pioneers in motion design and branding for, broadcast companies and so on, and for TV channels at that time. And I remember seeing their lecture, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's mixing, live action with graphics and design, but also they have the concept, but they have the execution. And then after this, because each of the projects, they weren't only motion, but also the brand application and so on. So it was really, really inspiring when I saw them.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the second piece of work that I wanted you guys to bring, and that is based on the earliest piece of creative. And this is always the most fun part of the show, because I get you guys to just dig through the archives and find the earliest piece of graphic design or just design in general that you remember having created. And is this yours, Al?
This is mine. This is while I was still at school. I was going through my Instagram, trying to find it.
Yeah.
So this was basically a travel brochure kind of thing. it's making me like stress out a bit because I can see all that, like it's not aligned properly, and I'm like, again, it's not right.
Is it circular though, and then it flips open, or?
Yeah, so this is just the logo, and then this is like the rest of her work. So this is kind of like in the bottom left. The kind of like
you can point here because I'm not sure if it mirrors or not.
This image. This was like one of the first ones that I remember doing, and that was the kind of like graffiti or like using the stencils and stuff. And then I kind of moved around to like more logo design and that kind of thing. But I knew I was always so ambitious with my projects when I was younger. I was just like, I'm going to do everything. And then like I remember people being like, okay, take it back. And then there'd be a deadline of like, okay, I can't do what I wanted to do. But yeah, because I was learning Photoshop and Illustrator at the same time as doing all of these. And then I'd like my window would pop up, and then I'd like pull it out of the Photoshop what's it called, like, you know, the UI or whatever, and then I'd like have to shut it all down because I couldn't figure out how to put the window back in or where were my layers. So
oh my god,
yeah. But no, these are my first ones.
The struggle in the beginning. We got a question here actually from Mark. So hi Mark, so good to have you here, and he also gave a shout out to you earlier. However, he is wondering what inspires you and all of your creativity, but we're going to talk about that actually in question number 5. Hey,
Okay.
So we're going to come back to you, Mark. We do have a question from El Patron actually. He's a freelancing graphic designer, and he started designing work by adding his own twist to his pictures, which makes it unique to his style. So his question for you guys here is he wants to know how you guys started off and, you know, added your personal twist to your work, and how you kind of gained attraction by being yourself through the work. Has that always been an easy thing for you to do? Has there always been a clear route?
Definitely not. No.
Should we actually go to your
we should
earliest
definitely
graphic
go
design
to
and then
my.
talk about
yeah,
it?
we should definitely do that.
This is the first piece of artwork, hey? That you can find.
Yeah. This will clear things up. I'm a very colourful person. I like colour. I like humour. I like things that are fun. But when I was starting out, I thought, I have to be super serious and dark and emo, and I don't know what I was thinking at uni. I don't know how my lecturers put up with me. But this is one of my first pieces of work, which was, I was tasked with doing a portrait of my colleague, well, not my colleague, my classmate at uni, and we had to get to know each other by doing their portraits. This is my first ever Photoshop, and it was very emo. He liked Evanescence, so I decided to use his favourite songs as a collage with a cutout of his head with Sonic the Hedgehog spikes coming out the back because he likes Sonic the Hedgehog, and I made it really dark and emo and really not at all like me today. But that's what I thought it was, and that's where I started, and didn't know anything about design and finding myself. And at the start I had this preconception of what design was, and then as I kind of went on and had the confidence, I feel like everything that I've kind of worked on usually ends up being either really colourful or illustrative or has a bit of humour, and there's a bit of me in my later work that you'll see, which is definitely not like this, but I find that with confidence and just working on briefs, you'll find your style. Yeah. And I think that I kind of got it through boredom in a way. It's really bad. But having briefs and thinking this is the way that it should be, and then actually when you start to answer them, you're like, actually, I want to put a piece of me in this, and then you find that way. But it did not start off this. I mean.
But this was you at the time though, and I think it is that confidence piece, isn't it? Would you guys say the same as well? Do you feel empowered in your work today, Elle, to be yourself and express yourself as well? And would you have any thoughts on that, and how someone can start off with being more themselves in their own work?
Yeah, so I think I'm still kind of playing around with styles. I think I've not got like one style that's like me. But I think what I really enjoy doing in my work is making it relevant and making it not so much political, but making sure it says something. It's not just like a nice thing. It has to say something, and the voice and the concept has to be clear and all that kind of thing. But I've realised that I'm actually quite sarcastic when I copyright, and I'm very like, yeah, whatever. And then I was like handing in like a project, and then because I work with so many international clients, they were like, wait, what? I didn't realise I was so sarcastic as a copywriter. So I think that's part of my style maybe that I'm
Should we click to the next one, and then we can also talk about your earliest and how you expressed yourself at the time versus now.
Yeah, this, yeah, I mean.
So what is this?
This is a campaign. This is a campaign for the fashion show in Portugal.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was doing an internship at Sony in Spain, and the reason why I put this here is because this is the first time I actually felt for me that it was a real, like, professional work. You know, it was a big deal in the sense that for me at that time, that I didn't know what I was doing, but then it turned out to be a really good campaign. I actually got, like, you know, I think I got one nomination to something, and I don't know, and I just felt like, oh my God, I done the first thing, and I didn't even know if it was. I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, literally not knowing what I was doing. I mean, I was working with, like, a creative who was also the copy for it. But everything else, I decided on everything else, and you know, we come up together with the concept and so on. Cool. So to the question, I would say that funny thing for me is that I actually talk about this at the end.
Okay.
But funny thing is that what it helped for me was to kind of stop trying to find my voice. Yes. Because when I was trying to find something, I was just pushing on whatever I thought that it would be my voice. And it just didn't work, and you know what I mean? Like, it was
force.
Yeah, it was force. So at this point, I was just doing things that would work for the project. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. So today I need to be emo, you know what I mean? Emo or dark. I will be dark. I will be not like a tiny bit dark. I will go fully into that, you know. Tomorrow I need to be gothic. I don't know. Tomorrow I need to be wherever I need. Romantic, go. You need to be like, you know, a colorful rainbow, go. You know, everything, but just do it like fully, on it, own it, you know, and take whatever you need to take about that. And I think that did work for me. It was a bit different, but it did work.
Incredible. So question number 3. So we're going to look at 3 projects from you guys that you are the most proud of. So is this yours? Yeah?
Yeah, this
We're
is
starting
mine.
with Elle.
I can't show a lot of the stuff that I've been working on because everything's still wrapped up under NDAs and everything's launching next year. So I thought I'd choose something that was more about where I've been.
Yep.
And this was quite a big turning point for me because I was at uni, and we spoke about this before, but I was at uni and I felt quite pressured to do what everyone else was doing, or like even presenting the way everyone else was presenting, and I just felt kind of trapped and I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. And then I spoke to a creative director at Elmwood, and he was just like, he like really drilled into my portfolio and like ripped it apart, which is what I wanted him to do. And he was like, is this what you want to do? And I was like, well, no. And he was like, right, we'll just do something that you actually want to do. So this brief they gave to me, and I just was like, okay, you want me to take it far? I'll take it further than that. So then I like, I think I took it maybe a bit too far, I don't know. But this was kind of the first project that I'd done where I was like, I'm going to design for me. I'm not going to design for my tutors. I'm not going to design based on what everyone else around me is doing. I'm just going to do it myself. And then I ended up picking up a D&AD one to watch when I went. So that was like the first thing where I've been like, okay, I did something. Someone liked it. So yeah, and it was this project was for me, and I put it on my portfolio, and it was what I wanted to do. So I felt so much more confident in it.
Incredible.
So I was super, super proud of this project at the time. So.
And then the next.
This is mine.
What is this?
Right, so this is a project that I ran with VCPP Kin. So there's a bit of a story about this. So I do a lot of illustration on my Instagram. I do it for myself every day. I do like doodles like this, and I absolutely love doing it. And I do it for myself, and it was just me playing about and trying to find some stress relief and finding my own kind of visual style within illustration. And I got a message, an email from a creative that worked at VCCP Kin, Vanessa, and she was like, I love your work, we really want to work with you. And I was like, oh my God, an agency wants to work with me, what the? And I was like, oh, I could have said no and been like, oh, I've never done freelance work, this is crazy. I already have a full-time job, thank you very much. But I was like, nah, do you know what, I'm gonna say yes. And I said yes, and I went into the offices, and I was still in my in-house role at EO, and I had no idea about freelance. I didn't even know how to set up myself. I had no idea what any of that meant. But I went in, they briefed me, and it was to do these animations for the Impulse Academy. And this project was, I did it over 3 months, and I did it in my spare time, before work, after work, weekends. I did it when I was on a holiday in Paris, and it was essentially an academy to empower young girls and teenagers to actually have the confidence to go out and learn things and drive their ambition and development, and learn from industry creatives and dancers and fashion editors and everything. So I did all the illustrations and animations for the entire campaign, and it ran for a year, and I saw my work on like YouTube and TV and all this stuff and social media, and it was great because it was with Anne-Marie the singer, and there was working with an agency whilst freelance. It just kind of gave me the confidence to be like, I can do freelance now, that's it, I've dipped in, heads in, all fine. And it was such a project that I got to like help teenagers like find their confidence, and it was in my style. This is like exactly my style. It was all animated, and I didn't know how to animate it at the time, but I just kind of went, I'll do it, that's fine, roughly take these many days. And I actually worked out really well, and off the back of this I've been doing so much more work, and this is how I got my out of in-house job, was through this project as well, and then it's kind of balled from there. Like it was so great, and it was just all chance and preparation, and I just loved it so much.
Amazing. We are going to have to speed up because I just looked at the time a little bit. So we're going to go to yours.
Yes.
What is this?
Okay. So this is a project I did a few years ago, actually, and the reason why I have it here is because I'm proud of it on one part of it. So it is a really low budget project, which it was for a brand an Argentinian brand. That it has, it's kind of like it's historical brand with a long time in that city, and it's really well known and everyone loves the brand, but it was kind of like outdated and so on. So what I love about this project is actually the concept. So I think that the execution was quite restrictive, and it was constrained by a lot of limitations. And I think it can be improved, but the concept and the brand as itself, I actually managed together with the team I was working on to come up with like a brand that it has a brand essence, that it feels, it behaves, it can evolve, it's simple, and it represents what they are, what the company is, well, it's not a company, but what the organization is, and also represents their audience, the people who connects with them. So it actually
a big thing as well to be able to put on. What a big system to be able to work across. Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I really like about it, to be honest. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, like I said, unfortunately, we can speed up a little bit. So a couple of words on the pieces that represent you and your style the most. Yeah. And Elle, go.
Bold, kind of pop arty and colourful, like this crazy, like colourful kind of world that I like building. And then a bit of like humour into it. But yeah, all of my work has to say something. If it's like my free time and my passion project, it's got to say something, and it's got to like call people out on something they're doing or anything like that. Like anything where I can address a problem that needs to be solved. That's what graphic design is to me. So
yeah, incredible.
So yeah, that's
wow. And next, Jennifer.
Oh hi. So this is kind of where my job and my illustration kind of just clash and just explode. I love illustration, and I love photography, and I love pop colors, and I love comedy, and I love fun, I love humor, and I love energy, and I just, this represents me. This is various projects, whether it's for Badass Gal or for Yo Sushi or for Netflix or for just me. I just love putting these little quirky touches into my work, and yeah, that's me all over, and colourful. Always colourful.
Yeah, I love neon and sparkle and everything.
Always sparkles.
Awesome. And next?
Oh yeah, and this is me, also colorful. This one,
Yeah.
this one. Yeah, this is me because so this is a band I'm working with. So they are called Kingdom, and they are like an independent, music band. And the reason why I love it is because I get to work with the artists. I get to, so I'm doing the whole identity for them, all the albums and so on. And it's just, for me, it's just perfect. You know, it's like, I just get to express their message, you know, their identity, their music.
Yeah.
I also put my, obviously, creativity on it and my touch, my view on it. And it's like you create this new thing, you know, like this, which are the cover albums. I mean, this is one of many that we've done. Yeah, and that's all.
Wow, incredible. So, before we move on to the final question, Alex Varela is on the line, and he says, "Hi, Jenny." And this is a question for all of you guys, but let's keep it a bit brief. If you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would this be? Should we start with you?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a tough one.
Deep question.
It's such a good question, though. I really appreciate it.
I just want to change society. Whoo, hard one. I want people to be happy. Right, like, it's really, at a fundamental level, I just want people just to bring joy to people's lives, whether that's through like something they just find amusing or fun, or like, I just want people to be happy, whether that's through just a design or color or looking at an image and going, oh, that's really nice. I just want to bring joy.
That's amazing.
And like, it's just a simple thing. I just want to bring joy.
Oh,
that's it.
I love that.
Joy.
What about you, Elle? What would you say?
Raising issues on things that people might not have been aware of. So a lot of mine's like quite political, but like I think I'd like to show someone a different viewpoint and say, okay, well, you think this, but what about this? Or make sure you're aware that not everything is. I think just looking at it in a different way, but it doesn't have to be in a super serious, like, oh, well, the world's all falling apart. Like, it doesn't have to be that, but I just think, I'd like people to be more aware of, like, social issues.
I would say to be fair, like a fair society, like, you know, like, and also related to, you know, raising social issues, but also like fair and open-minded, I think. Yeah, I think we're going into that, but it is only in certain parts of the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to everything.
I feel like so humbled. I'm like, oh, these ladies should run the world. That's amazing. So the final piece of work that we have brought with us is who are you inspired by? So the first one is yours.
This is mine. So I grew up going to football games. So my biggest inspiration of all is the Kop at Anfield. So I'm a huge Liverpool supporter. So anytime I'm feeling stuck or whatever, I'll go, and the best pieces of copy I've ever seen is in the Kop, the best amounts of humour, just all of it, the scarves, the flags, the banners, the T-shirts, the fan-made stuff. I cannot get enough of this whole Kop identity. Like, I'm
sold.
Obsessed. This is where it all started.
Oh, incredible. And on to the next.
Oh yeah, this is me. I would definitely say Takashi Murakami, because when I met him, I was like, he just said, "You're a geek," and I was like, yeah.
I'll take whatever
I'll
you
take
say.
it. Thank you so much. I love you. And I just love colour and humour and crazy monsters. I was obsessed with monsters when I was a young kid. I used to draw monsters all the time. And Takashi Murakami just like nailed it for me, and his like business style and the fact he can do collaborations with brands. I think there's another slide bringing me on to the second person, which is Keith Haring. I just love him, and I'm just so sad he's not here, because it's like the impact he had on the world and the messages that he had were just so inspiring, and he brought joy. And he also highlighted political things. He also highlighted things that people needed to know at that time. And his designs and his illustrations were just so quick, but also so well thought out, and it brought me so much joy. And I was so lucky to see him in Japan and also in Liverpool recently, and it just brings me joy. I like things that bring me joy, and Takashi Murakami and Keith Haring bring me joy and inspiration.
Incredible.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, wow.
And this is me, and this is my Spanish influence. So it's the artist is called Javier Jaén, and I sometimes go to him because his sharpness of concept, you know, like the way he synthesizes meanings in such few elements, is basically, you know, the punch in the face of like what, for me, visual communication should be. So it's an inspiration always.
Yeah. You guys are also colourful as well. Incredible. And this brings me so much joy, just, you know, looking at your inspiration sources and where you guys, you know, go to stay refreshed and, you know, do new things and be inspiring and innovative and all that stuff. So that's very cool. We have a final question, okay, and I can't believe it's already been an hour.
I know.
Can you believe? I feel like we're having the best
Really?
time.
Yes.
We need another hour for sure. But in the spirit of collaboration and sharing, what is the one piece of advice that really changed and like kind of unlocked the way that you look at the creative profession and the way that you work today? I'm gonna let whoever wants to start actually start.
Okay.
Yeah?
I think that as soon as I started to understand that collaboration was key, and that it's okay that you don't have to do everything yourself, and actually leaning on other people and vibing off other people and using your skills with somebody else's skills and not seeing people as the enemy, it really unlocked my career. Because it's not about, yeah, you came up with that idea, oh, I should get the credit for it. Like, leave those egos and that attitude away. It's like, we're all in this profession together. The more that we can collaborate with other people, the better the end result will be, whether that's collaboration with the client, whether it's collaboration with the juniors, the seniors, the creative director, the copywriter, the account managers as well. It's not just about design, it's about everybody and how you can collaborate with them. And as soon as I understood that, the more value I had in my career. Like, I'm not precious about my work anymore because I know that it's not just my work, it's everybody's work that put in that effort with me. It's that even the person who received the brief, like they received a brief, so they have a part to play in this. And the minute I understood that, it's been so much easier to work with people and with clients as well. It's their babies as well as your baby. Like, those barriers just need to go. Don't be precious about things.
Amazing.
Evolve them and grow them.
Yeah. What about you, Eugenia?
I think it would be, you know, following with this, I think it would be empathy. You know, this idea of like, okay, collaboration, but also that you need to understand that people don't think as you think. You know, we sometimes, I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, it's so difficult because even when you realize it's difficult, you know, it's so difficult to have teams to work with people and to create great work, and to have teams to be successful and collaborations to be successful, because it all depends on so many things that you cannot control. So for me, empathy is something that I definitely try to grow more, you know, and to also require more on people, because I can see that that's where things actually start to become great and to connect and to create something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree on the same kind of vein, but I think also making sure that there are so many other voices that you can bring into the conversation, like especially with the internet and like the fact that I work remote and so many other people work remote, bring the people in that need that voice too. And I think you can tell when projects kind of tank a little bit because they didn't get that voice and they didn't give people opportunity. And like I read a tweet once where someone had been emailed to do a mural for like a certain cause, but they hadn't asked the person they were trying to represent. They had asked someone else, and it's so important to then be like, no, let's bring this other person in. And like you say, like bringing other people in will only enhance the project. It's not taking anything away from you. So creating that diversity in our industry will just like elevate it beyond what it is now. So
incredible. Wow. So we are, we're come to the end now of this little live stream. We will definitely, pick up any questions over Twitter later. So if you do have any questions for these lovely ladies, we can post their Twitter handles later in the little chat box. I do also want to say that we are back up online on Tuesday. We got our Max Creativity Tour happening, and the greatest thing of all is that everyone's invited to come in and stream in and look what happened at Max over in LA a couple of weeks ago, but also to hear from a lot of creative legends coming to share their knowledge and insight. But that's it from us today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you, ladies, for joining. And a huge round of a little applause and some wave goodbyes. Thank you. Bye.